From chatting with some of the biggest names in Hollywood to educating fandom on Afrofuturism, the feel-good, blurty fun of the SyFy Sistas is taking over the world, and we got them right here tonight on Thursday Night Geeks, presented by Fansets.
Good Thursday evening to you, one and all. Welcome to Thursday Night Geeks, presented by Fansets. I'm Bill Smith, alongside Dan Davidson. And Dan, we brought back the entire Thursday Night Geeks orchestra for tonight.
Sitting in the orchestra pit, listening to them. They didn't even have to practice this stuff anymore. They're so good at it. I gotta say, though,
damn good.
That intro voice just now was, wow.
Really, it kind of grated on my nerves. Almost like a cat in a room full of rocking chairs or nails on a chalkboard.
Oh, yes.
A chalkboard, for some of you younger people watching, is what they used to use in schools.
Exactly. It's good to see you, man. I've been looking forward to Thursday night. I think Thursday night's going to be my favorite night of the week going forward, because here we are, episode 2 live with you. We got great stuff to talk about tonight. I'm looking forward to it.
Would you say you've been waiting all week for Thursday night?
I would say that.
Yeah, you would. You would. Great show on tap today, Dan. It's always great when we can welcome Trek Geeks family to the show, because that's the best part of all.
Absolutely. We are so excited to be welcoming the SyFy Sistas to tonight's show. They are, we've talked about them for a long time. Anybody who has not listened to them or watched them, you are missing out on amazing conversation. They are wonderful women, every single one of them. They are shooting up the popularity chart like you wouldn't believe. They get guests on their show that they're going to have Blaylock, Jolene on the show at some point. I guarantee you, because they're just getting anybody on the show who wants to be heard. So excited to talk to them. So excited to see them. It's always special when we have family joining us here on Thursday Night Geeks.
It really is. It's so much better than having you.
I know. That's why I'm happy, because I can just sit back and listen, and people will be happy that their ears won't bleed as much.
I'd ask you what you're drinking, but nobody really cares because you're not drinking booze tonight.
Right.
I, however, am drinking a beautiful bourbon from Frey Ranch, which is an all-woman-owned distillery.
Very nice.
Fantastic. It makes me very happy. Plus, I'm using my custom Trek Geeks ice cubes.
They are very cool. You got me that silicone ice cube maker, and I love it. I just got water. Another month, and then I'm gonna, like, a month from now on Thursday, I'm gonna be like, it's
gonna be like the Rat Pack at the Sands. EO11.
I love it.
All right, well, we're gonna set the table for our discussion. We'll be right back after this brief video transition. We'll be right back with the sisters. Stay tuned. And yes, we had to drop the bass before we bring the sisters on. So great to have you here, you people who speak to famous Hollywood types. How are you?
We're great. People who speak to famous Hollywood types. I'm just
wow.
Yeah.
We're just rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic over here. Don't mind us.
That's my sobriquet.
And just this week, Linda, my goodness, Linda Park from Enterprise. That was phenomenal. Congratulations. I mean, you guys are like on a rocket ship. It's just been fantastic to watch, and we're so excited and happy that you're part of our family and having this great success and doing your show and your live show and everything. But I got to say, the happiest moment is having you here right here tonight on Thursday Night Geeks. So talk all about it. It's going to be fun.
We are back with the family. Yep.
So our podcast papas, how can I not be happy right now?
Well, it's look, Dan's here, so
Yeah, I was wondering if Yvette was going to be muted the whole time and try to do her producer thing, even though it's not our show.
I was trying.
Yeah,
We turned off her access.
Good, thank you.
So 4 years ago, we came to y'all and said, "Hey, would you like?" I know, right? 4 years ago, would you like to take over the Trek Geeks podcast for an episode? And you did.
And we said, "Who are the Trek Geeks?"
No, we
yeah.
did not.
Yeah.
Well, I did.
And Yvette said,
"I did
no
not."
way.
I said,
hell no.
"Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god!"
That was true. That was true. We were so
Like,
excited.
And so much has changed in the last 4 years. I mean, you went from, I'm sure, doing a podcast that you hope that some people listen to becoming one that's kind of a destination event, and now you're creating your own content. So I guess, Tamia, we'll start with you because you're the one who reached out to me initially. What's it been like the last 4 years from you? You know, your journey as a creator. You know, you probably started off never having done an interview before, and now you're talking to people on the red carpet.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's insane. And that's all true. You know, like never had I spent any time understanding anything like the ins and outs of how to interview somebody, like coming up with questions, running out of questions or having somebody be like giving you 2-word answers and all of it. I mean, you never knew. We just thought like the goal was to not ever be silenced, right? Because our origin story is that we had been silenced and sidelined at a convention where Sabrina and Fran and I all met for the first time in a panel talking about Discovery, the first season of Discovery. And, and it was a really crappy feeling to basically have somebody look you in the face when you're raising your hand to make a point and look you and go, okay, over here. And you're like, wait a minute, you saw me though. You saw me. I've had my hand up. We've all had our hands up since the beginning, and it was, so the whole genesis, our whole genesis was like, okay, you know what? We don't need your space. We'll just make our own space. And then we'll invite our cool friends over to the space. So, before we even did a podcast, we decided to make a space online. So then we had we made the SyFy Sistas mothership. We made the SyFy Sistas page. We made the SyFy Sistas mothership, which, we're like, this is a group for people who enjoy talking about Trek or any sci-fi from a Black experience, right? And if you want to hear our perspective, you're welcome on the mothership. But just understand, we do blackity black, 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 blackity black. That's what we are. Good job.
I'm an honorary sister.
Yeah, all right. Yeah.
I
knew they would be right in there.
Yeah. So yeah, it's been a big journey. It's been
The smiles though.
I know, right?
They knew what to do. They knew what to do.
That's why we mess with y'all. I was about to say something else.
I know, me too.
I can't remember.
Sorry, we ruined it as usual.
Yeah.
Remember, do we keep it?
I didn't know
The
what
DNA.
I didn't know what the if it was an E on here or not. So
Right.
You you don't have to censor yourself.
No, not at all.
We'll tag it with an E. Go ahead.
All right. Yeah. Okay, good. Because we won't. So anyway, you're right. Like it was crazy, like to just be like, okay, so we're going to start talking to each other about stuff that we like. And then we're just going to put it out there. And, if somebody listens to it, they listen to it. That's really cool. And that was the genesis. But then we very quickly realized that there was a lot of traction. People wanted to listen to our point of view. We had a lot of fun doing this, and we knew that we wanted to grow.
that was the key.
We knew that we didn't want to just stay a podcast forever. I think we always had bigger dreams.
Yeah, but one thing I do want to say is that, we're laughing here that, Bill and Dan were so quick to, raise the fist with us. But the whole reason why you called us in was from your hearts. And it was right in the midst of the George Floyd thing. And you guys were like, look, we need to give more space and time and voice to Black podcasters. And you gave up your show for 4 straight weeks. So, that wasn't nothing. So coming right out of the box, you were like,
Yeah.
And it was the easiest thing to do.
Absolutely.
I mean, not even a second hesitation to do it.
Yeah, I will never forget that because you know people talk a lot of talk, but you were like right there with the with the subscribers.
Well, and part of that was born out of the fact that we didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
As people watching everything unfold and seeing people, we admire and care about, even from a distance, impacted so deeply and so profoundly. Dan and I sat back and said, we truly were speechless and at a loss. And I came up with this idea. I said, look, why don't we just not do the show ourselves in the month of February? And I think it took us an hour to put the idea together. And after that, it fell into place and it was beautiful because we got such great content.
Is this like an actual anniversary to the day?
It's close.
It's close.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I just got a chill.
Yeah,
I know,
really
right?
Close. Like it was the first week, or
Yeah, you guys were the first week.
yeah. Wow.
Yeah, and it's interesting. Bill says that we didn't really know what to do, and that's for sure. I mean, we all had the feelings of everything that was going on. We all were just completely devastated and disgusted by what we were seeing and what had happened. But to be honest, at the time, Bill lived in New Hampshire with me. Well, not with me, but in New Hampshire. God, I didn't want to live with Bill. New Hampshire is like 98, 99% white. We didn't know what to do. We just did not know what to do. And that's bad on us for not knowing what to do and how to help and everything like that. And like we said, easiest thing in the world, easiest decision in the world to make to do it. And we've said it before to you publicly, and we've said it privately. It is the best decision that Trek Geeks has ever made in our entire 10 years.
I think it's one I have to say, because I was the sole person that was against this. And I've said this to you guys, I think this is one of the best decisions we've ever made. Because I mean, you showed us the ropes,
right?
You showed us what was possible, and I was like, oh, okay. let's find out what this is about, but it was definitely you and Dan who were like, yeah, you could do that. Sure, you can do that. Oh God, yes, here, take this, do this. And that's all we needed. And I always, like, people, when we started our our YouTube channel, we had a lot of people asking, how people are, you guys leaving? You guys, and I just didn't say anything, but then when we had the chance to say no, there's no leaving. We're just doing something new. That's all. And the podcast is it. The podcast is always going to be our number one. So.
Well, it's kind of like the mafia. I mean, you don't really get to leave.
No.
Keep pulling me back in.
So you start off as podcasters, and I'm sure it was, let's just talk about nerdy stuff. But after that, you kind of, catch the eye of folks at Paramount Plus and CBS Studios. And that had to be sort of a double take kind of moment. It's like, they want us to what? Has that sort of excitement, that sort of, Uber fan feeling of getting those opportunities changed for you at all? Are you still feeling a little like nerding out when it happens?
We're still fangirling.
I fangirl every time. Yeah, it's never gonna get old. Because you always, I can only speak for me. I always think it's going to go away. I believe that, you have to keep working at it because it could go away really quickly.
Yeah.
And I always try to find other sources out there also. So every time someone says yes to us, I'm like freaking out again, so it's all over again.
Absolutely. That is so true. It's never old. It's never old. Every week it's like, or every time we do the show or when we meet people, I mean, you have no idea what we just went through with the red carpet. It was like we were trying to be professional and you're trying to keep your head on because you know who's coming down the red carpet, and we're like, oh, each one of us lost it at one point. On that carpet when someone came down, the other two had to hold them down. Like, okay, hold on, girl, hold on.
Yeah. So like number one, I feel like it's never. I'm just a fangirl, right? And this happens to be. I stumbled into a talent, and that talent is yakking away on a mic and asking some good questions, right? And it's just a great way for me to explore my fandom. So, all this, like the red carpet stuff, like when that stuff started happening, it was a trip, and it's still a trip. Like you don't get jaded. Like you do get to a point where you're like, okay, I know what to do now. I'm not like looking up at the bright lights of the big city every time I go around, like, it's cool that, that way. But, inside, like internally, like I'm grateful every day that I get to do that. My fandom, my love of something has led me to this where you get the opportunity to talk to these people and do the things that we're getting to do. I mean, so it started with Anson Mount.
Yes,
right. That's what I was going to bring up.
Yeah, he saw us on the Seventh Rule on Virtual TrekCon. And he requested, when they were doing their press junket for Strange New Worlds for the first season, he requested a one-on-one interview with us, like these unknown people.
Yeah, don't you remember that? Because remember we were trying to get they were trying to get Celia, right? And they go, well, Celia's not available, but Anson would love to speak to you, and we're like, what?
Right?
What now?
And didn't he also like he said that you need guys, he wanted you to be sure that you were at the red carpet event in New York, I think it was.
Got us
amazing.
Got us into the VIP party. I mean, now that was stupid. I mean, I lost it then.
They invited us, like, so we're just thinking like, okay, we get to go to the premiere in New York, right? And then they go, oh, you want to be on the red carpet? Say what? Yes.
And then
like, yes.
We were like,
do we know what we're doing?
No. What do we do on the red carpet?
Right? Like, how do we do this? Like, how do we record? How does this work? Thank God for Lori Ulster and the Trek movie.
Absolutely.
Lori gave us the tutorial. Lori gave
she
us.
was like, "Oh, aren't you guys sweet?"
Lori was like, with the sister power. It was with the sister power there. She was like, "Let me show you guys how to do it." Like, thank you.
Yeah,
bless your heart.
Yeah, well, and then, but I laugh at that, but definitely not that way. Definitely, as a colleague, definitely as someone, like you said, like a big sister, making sure that we had it right, And then the Paramount people were awesome.
Yes,
because they made sure we got to talk to everybody. Like they would bring people over because sometimes we got lost because where nobody knew who we were. So a lot of times,
at the end of the carpet.
You were down there with the podcasters, so you had all the regular outlets with the big cameras and lights. They got ladders and everything, and then there's these three sisters with their cell phones.
Still got our cell phones though.
Hey,
it works.
It was 4 of us that time.
Yeah.
That was 4. I'm sorry, there were four of us there. It was insane. We didn't know what we were doing, and they kept saying like, who are those people? Who are the SyFy Sisters? But they know who we are now.
And it really hasn't stopped. Anybody who goes to any conventions that you are at, I saw this at Vegas this past summer, and I just was completely blown away. You have a poster of all of the different people that you've had on your show, all the different guests, and they are big names. It has not slowed down since that Anson Mount moment. You're getting people asking for you. That's got to tell you something about what you bring to the table. It's really something. Paramount ignores the hell out of me whenever I call and say I want to talk to somebody or email, but obviously they don't do that with you.
It's not that they call us. I won't say that. I would say that I am very diligent in my
persistent is the word.
That too. But I'm that way with everything. And I think as a group, we are very we're a lot of fun. And I think a lot of people like to hang out with us. And I think that goes for them also. Sometimes it gets a little, they always know that we're going to come there and people are going to be happy. Like they said that. They said that the last time we did the virtual interviews, everyone's always so happy when they find out you're here. So, and I try to always bring that, like Christmas time. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year, Happy Trek Day, I just never let them forget about us, basically. So that's the way you do it,
Because it's fun.
Because it's fun.
I mean, it's fun. Like, we love this stuff, right? So, and it's fun getting to hang out with people. It's fun getting to do more conventions and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, that's a lot. That's where I feel happiest, is at a convention, and we get to talk to people all day, and that's the fun stuff.
That's really good. Yeah.
It's been amazing to see your growth over the last 4 years, and the fact that you're really just sort of getting started.
Yeah.
But if we take the podcast back to its roots, I mean, in your description, you talk about Afrofuturism, and I'm sure that a lot of people who watch this may not completely understand what that means or why it's so important. So why, as as a 55-year-old cishet Caucasian man, why do I need to know more about Afrofuturism?
Well, that's a hard question. It's like, no, I mean, it's
that's
not
why
really
that's why I'm here.
I know. Well, I mean, Afrofuturism is a movement of art, all different types of mediums of art, which is rooted in the past and simultaneously looking forward as well, right? So the heart of Afrofuturism is that you must know your past in order to be able to grow and move into the future. So it's solidly grounded in African aesthetics and different types of African aesthetics and motifs, while also having a really advanced, like, futuristic take on things as well. So it's a really cool, like, alchemy, right? I mean, and it's the ancient future. There used to be a jazz show here in DC called the Ancient Futures, which I thought was so cool. I mean, because you're hearkening back to, you're looking at what makes you strong, right? What makes you're looking at your history, you're looking at what makes you tick as a people culturally, and then you're saying, how do we bring that into the future? How does this get expressed into the future? And then one of the reasons why Afrofuturism as a movement is so important is because when you look at, like, mainstream science fiction, like, I would say Western science fiction, in the quote unquote golden ages of science fiction, there's zero representation of people who are not white males. Right? For, like,
Right.
on a broader level, like, people were out there doing it and writing and creating art, etc. But they were obviously not getting mainstream wide acknowledgement, right? So that means that, like, if you're looking at the future and Isaac Asimov doesn't write a single Black character in the book, or Asian, or Latino, he's got, like, 2 women in the damn book, and they're trifling, so, like, like, you look at it, so it becomes important for us to position ourselves as seeing ourselves in the future. It's why Star Trek means so much to so many of us, because it was one of the very first broadly seen vehicles that squarely positioned people who were not white and not male in the future, and not as servants, and it's important today because there are people who are writing our future now, who are developing what's happening with our lunar bases and what's going to happen on Mars, and they're not looking and expecting anybody that looks like me to be there with them. These people are having conversations at the table right now. So it's important because our children need to know the possibilities that exist for them. If we don't visualize ourselves there, nobody else will.
Nobody
will. So we must place ourselves in the center of the narrative and then put it out there. And then you guys can jump on in and say, hey, that's a good vision of the future. I'd like that, or not.
It's amazing. I already knew the importance of the episode, but what you're saying here tonight with us really puts Far Beyond the Stars in a whole new light for me. It really, really does. And it's just one of Avery's, best moments in not only acting, but directing that episode. And it makes perfect sense.
This is exactly why Far Beyond the Stars is one of our all-time favorite episodes because this is exactly what it's talking about. This is at the root of it. And then when he's being told to erase these characters, and this is what's happening in our country now. It is the same message. What we're being told to erase our history. We're not teaching African American history now. There are people that it's an erasure of what has happened, what we've contributed, and then we're going to get whitewashed history again. And where does that leave us?
Wow. Yeah.
Tamia for the buzzkill.
I don't have a drink to drink, so
I do, and I'm about to imbibe. So let's say that, I don't read a lot these days, and that's largely because I just don't retain the things I read. But if I were going to start, getting to know some of these stories and some of these Black creators, what recommendations might you have for somebody that wants to explore this aspect of science fiction?
We would recommend that you join the SyFy Sistas online book club.
That is a great plug. You've done this before.
Voice and everything.
You just lobbed it in my court.
Sure did.
See, he does the hard questions. I usually throw the softballs, but that was a pretty good softball.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Look what a smash.
Notice how my girl snapped it up, too. She's like, oh, me, I got that one.
Well, Hermione Granger over here.
Then let me rephrase. Which particular ones might be some of your favorites that resonate with you the most?
Sabrina, do you want to take it or you?
One of my I can never remember who. One of my favorites was Brown Girl in the Ring. If you're gonna read your first one, just take Brown Girl in the Ring because a lot of things would be familiar to you.
Okay.
It takes place in the United States. I think
interesting. She's Canadian. So it takes place in
She's
Canada.
Canadian, but it's not like it's on the moon or it's in some other universe or you don't have to, it's not like this crazy wild fantasy. There's a lot of things you would recognize that you could like ground yourself and get into it. But it's an amazing story that brings in so much of our history, of Caribbean history, of of religion and things and that would teach you things that you may not know. And I've said this before to people. I think we were on another show with Ryan actually, that I'm familiar with all of the Nordic gods.
Right.
I know Odin, I know Thor, I know Loki. So why wouldn't you know the African gods? Why is that so unusual?
Sure.
I'm sitting here. I can tell you what the crow means. I know what the hammer's gonna do. And when you get to that same level of knowledge of our cultural gods, then it's a win-win because I love those stories, and I think you would love ours.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think that that's an interesting suggestion, Nalo Hopkinson. Like, I would suggest. There are some classics of, okay, so a couple of things.
There's so
number
much.
One, I know. Well, number one, the term Afrofuturism, yes, it's on our website, but I think what we do is so much broader. Afrofuturism is a really specific niche genre of artistic expression, right? And you can find it in visual media, in films, and in clothing design, and poetry, and music, and it's and everything. But we essentially we are just little blurs who have been little blurs before there were big words to call us blurs, right?
Right, exactly.
we were black girls who were nerds and geeky, and we just loved sci-fi. I was reading all of that science fiction, whether or not it centered me in the narrative or not, So, I think that I look at especially the literature that we read a little bit broader. Everybody's talking about Octavia Butler these days. Octavia Butler is very well known. She was the grande dame. Before her, there was Samuel R. Delany. Samuel R. Delany was writing in the 60s and 70s. He was an openly queer Black man writing science fiction in the 60s, 70s, 80s. He's still writing and teaching today.
Oh,
He
wow.
was so far beyond his years. The stuff that he wrote in the 60s and 70s, I read it now and I'm like, wow, I cannot believe he had the balls and the chutzpah to put this stuff out, and that people published him. I was amazed. Like, it's so good. He's a writer's writer. And then Octavia was there. Octavia came along and she's showing us everything. She is a really, really good writer. She's deceptively simple. And everybody knows the parable of the sower, but everybody's talking about that right now. There's the first of a duology. And parable of the sower is important because she was very prescient in the novel, right? She, like, one of the main things that she was writing about was one of the main characters that she had in those parable of the sower and parable of the talents was a orange like guy who is the president of the United States, whose slogan is "Make America Great Again." Right. And she wrote this book in 1992. It was published in 1992, and she's talking about like fires and destruction. And, it's sort of a post-apocalyptic sort of book, and I think the interesting thing about that is that, Yvette, you might want to mute all that typity tap, tap, tap.
She's just typing with one finger now.
I know. But, so everybody knows Parable of the Sower, but Octavia Butler wrote some phenomenal hard science fiction. She was a really good hard science fiction writer. And I'm going to shut up because I could literally talk about this forever.
Well, you may get a chance, because right now we're going to do a little ad break for Fansets and for Kryptonite Creations. If you all want to stay on screen, that's cool. We don't care. But otherwise, we can send you back to the green room while Dan and I do the ads. Any preference?
Do the ad. We're going to stay here and make faces at you.
All right. Then, Garcia, let's go with the Fansets background, and Dan and I will just roll right into it.
Fansets.
No, skip the transition, and we will go straight to the background.
We love Fansets.
Fansets.
We do
awesome.
love Fansets. And Dan...
Jazz hands. Fansets.
Dan, we, of course, want to take this moment to thank Fansets for being the presenting sponsor of Trek Geeks.
Yeah, absolutely. We can't think of a better group of people to be our sponsor. It's another week, and another set of new releases happens every week. These are all available right now at fansets.com, including the newest Delta in the Amazing Delta collection. It's the Discovery 32nd Century Commander Delta. It's available in pin and magnet form. Always good to have either of those. Don't want to get any holes in your cosplay. Very good. Also available from the Starship Dedication Plaque Collection. It's the good old Crossfield class NCC 1031 USS Discovery. And one of my favorite collections, Bill, you know this. Fansets has the Universe of Trek collection. And we just talked about Anson Mount. Captain Christopher Pike joins the ranks of Glitter Heaven in this beautiful new pin. And also, they have a few exclusive Starfleet Academy pins from the recent Creation San Francisco convention left in stock. But you got to get yours now, because once they're gone forever. So head right on over and pick them up. Do it.
So I have no idea where this copy is, and I'm just winging it at this point.
All right.
Because I can't find it anywhere.
You don't read your memos.
Is Glitter Heaven...
Sounds familiar.
I would have thought that Glitter Heaven was a strip club in Las Vegas. No?
Maybe in Merrimack. I'm really not sure.
That's well, I don't live in
Not in
Merrimack
Merrimack.
anymore. Yeah. I'm willing to bet it's not, though.
I've been there enough time to tell you it's not.
Glitter Heaven? Sabrina.
I'm from Boston. I'm from Boston. We used to make those packy runs. Yeah, I know.
Here in North Carolina, that doesn't happen. We got the ABC stores.
Yeah.
Typically at this moment, what I say is, so head on over to fansets.com, get all of those pins, every single last one of them, put them in your cart, and then go to checkout and type in the special discount code Trek Geeks, all capital letters, no spaces. That's Trek Geeks for 10% off your entire damn order. And I don't know what the hell Yvette is saying, but
I don't know. She
like,
out there whispering. Who's she
like-
whispering to?
Because I know the copy. I say it every week.
there and get your pins is what she's saying. It's like subliminal advertising. That's what's going on here.
I love me
so-
some fan sets.
That's you know why? Because when you order more than $30, you automatically get free shipping in the United States, Yvette.
Whoop, whoop.
You do.
Automatically.
I know. I know.
Bill,
I
you're
know.
a pro. You're a pro.
I am a pro. That's why
You
you
are.
want to get on over to fan sets and
All
get
my
yourself
fan
some
set stuff
pins.
over here.
Wow.
Oh, I love it. A jingle
Fan sets.
too.
A jingle. Dang.
This is how we
You
do
know
it in
what?
the big leagues, ladies.
You know what Fansets pins have, ladies and gentlemen?
Character.
Character.
I'm sorry.
Character.
I wanted
And
my
we-
gold star.
Exactly right. I'm not even going to finish the rest of the
You're
shit. We're
not
done.
listening.
Next, bring it. Let's
You
go.
want me to say
Kryptonite.
it for you, Bill? Here's Bill. What the hell's your name? Ted. Okay.
Ted.
Ted. Fan sets. Our pins have character.
Now, of course, you
That's
can't
how
see
it's
the logo,
done,
but we want to
Ted.
talk about our friend JC at Kryptonite Creations. He is sending us an entire box
Mm-hmm.
of brand new 3D printed things. And we want to
Yes.
thank everybody for submitting their orders to Kryptonite Creations after last week's show. My word, JC was in front of those 3D printers for days.
Yes, and he kept giving us updates. He's like, "Hey, I'm working on this one now. I'm working on this one." He came out with 6 brand new Star Trek. I don't know even what to call them. Stuff. After our premiere show last week, they're all incredible. We ordered. What did we order? 3 of them, Bill.
Wait,
Each
hold
of
on
us.
now. Wait,
At least. So this is
I know.
my
what's
this is
happening?
my TMP Type 2 phaser that he 3D printed. I ordered this
Oh,
and then I
neat.
said, dude, do you want a bigger audience? And he said, I'd love to. And this is my TMP Type 2 phaser. It's fantastic. It's 3D printed. It's hand painted. And
Is it
it's
heavy?
cheaper than a lot of
phaser.
yeah, it's cheaper than a lot of destinations on Etsy or other online sellers. So
3D printing is amazing.
JC is a good guy too.
Look at that.
Wow.
And I just
know,
ordered
right?
the one of the new releases that he came out with last week is the First Contact hand phaser. Fantastic. The Discovery phaser, which is just beautiful. And the Discovery phaser has lights and sound included in it too.
Yeah,
Stop it.
and it's
Stop
dirt
it.
cheap.
Awesome.
Dirt cheap.
How
Yeah.
fast can we get this? Can we get this before the cruise? Tick, 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 tick.
When do you board the cruise?
The
21st.
21st.
Oh gosh, I would think so.
Yeah,
22nd. 22nd.
JC, get on that.
JC is going to get on that as soon as he's back from whatever con that's going on in Orlando this weekend.
I need some deets. Kryptonite Creations. Okay.
Shoot, man.
KryptoniteCreations.myshopify.com. Get over there, order some stuff. Hopefully next week we'll have a big box of new stuff to show everybody. He threw in some extra goodies too, Dan. I have no idea what they are. I can't wait.
We'll be sharing it next week, I think.
I think so.
What's his name?
JC.
JC will be in touch.
Yes, we
There you
will.
go.
Yes.
Hello,
The
JC.
sisters
They will.
are coming.
You're
for
our new
you,
best friend.
JC.
In a good way.
In a
I
good
will-
way. In a very good way.
Yeah.
And also, Bill, just want to throw out there, it's not just Star Trek stuff that he has.
Yeah, it's
available,
not.
Too. He makes a full-size Back to the Future hoverboard from Back to the Future 2. Somebody
Wow.
posted a picture with one the other day. It looked phenomenal. He's got all kinds of different genres that you can look at on their website. So it's pretty awesome stuff.
Yeah, Ghostbusters, Back to the Future, Star Trek. He's done some Batman.
Wow.
But he's fairly priced, and I don't want to own a 3D printer and keep it in my house and maintain it.
Dig it. Right.
Wait hours. I'd
My
rather
wife would
order
never let me have
something
one of those.
and enjoy it immediately. So that's get on over to Kryptonite Creations, order something from JC, make his day, and make him sit in front of 3D printers all weekend. That's the goal. That's KryptoniteCreations.myshopify.com. And Garcia, yeah, let's transition back. Hey, look at that. The magic of
Wow.
video.
SyFy Sistas purple. It's a beautiful thing, isn't it?
It
Yeah,
We
really
called
is.
a crazy Ivan on Garcia, and he rolled with it
love
amazingly
that.
well.
Yay, Garcia.
Garcia's
Yeah.
the man.
Yeah,
You know,
nice to
obviously-
meet you, Garcia.
The trains don't run without Garcia, in the control room. We couldn't do it without him. We wouldn't want to do it without him. Or, well, if you paid us enough money, maybe we would. But we're doing it with him because he was the best available.
Yes. He was
Usually the way it
only
works.
available.
And before we go much further, Dan, let's tease what's coming up next week really quickly.
Yeah, we have some big news for
Wow.
next week. I am very, very excited that Nana Visitor will be coming back to Trek Geeks. She was one of our first guests 10 years ago.
Yay.
She's coming back to
Wow.
Thursday Night Geeks next week. We're going to talk about her awesome book, Open a Channel, A Woman's Trek. We can't wait to talk to her. I can't wait to see her. She's one of my favorite people in the entire world. And that's going to be next week at 8 p.m. Eastern right here on Thursday Night Geeks. Nana Visitor. Colonel
I
Kier.
love that.
So cool.
That is such a good book.
Nana's one of
Such a-
those people that you can hear smile when she talks.
Yes.
And it brightens your day and it makes you smile. And it's the best part of being able to talk with Nana and knowing Nana. And I can't wait to have that conversation next week.
We got Nana gift. I got Nana gifted to me by Dan.
Oh,
Remember?
Yes.
I had put something. I was like, oh my God, I would love to have her on, like one of my favorite. I would love to have her on my show. And next thing I know, wish granted. I was like, wait, what?
Okay, that's kind of funny. The way that you said that made me think I was gifted Nana once also. Bill got me a cameo by Nana for my birthday a few years ago.
Whoa.
And it was pretty cool. It was
Yep.
very,
Pay
very
it
awesome.
forward. Pay it
And she
forward.
remembered us from our podcast from so many years
Wow.
before. So.
Yeah.
She is so sweet. She is one of my most favorite people I've ever gotten to talk to. And, you know, she's just, you're right about being able to hear that smile of hers. And, oh, man, she's awesome.
She's got so many stories. I mean, she's just, wow.
She does. She really does.
She-
It's going to
she
be
really
great. We're looking
does.
forward to it. But that's next week. Right now, we got 3 other amazing women on the show right here, right now that we're going to keep our conversation going.
Don't be looking around, Sabrina.
she was wondering if Dan was counting himself.
So
He said he wanted to be a sci-fi sister.
Yeah, he did.
I do.
They all.
So I have a question for each one of you. I want to have each one of you answer it. And this is one that I'm going to put you on the spot because Bill has done this to me before, and it's always one that's very hard to answer. But I want to hear what you have to say.
Uh-oh.
During this journey that you have been on since the beginning, what has been your favorite moment about being the SyFy Sistas? Let's start with Yvette.
Oh boy.
The one-
Thank God. Dodge
I know,
that.
I saw the face of confusion. I'm like, I'm going with her first.
Dan recognizes it because he wears it every day.
Favorite moment. I think my favorite moment is the fact is every time my kids are like wowed by what I'm doing. I think that's my favorite moment. You know, because there was a time when my kids didn't want nothing to do with me. They thought I was not cool. I was a pain in the ass. All I did was nag. But now, as they're all adults now, young adults, and the times that they've been wowed by the things that I'm doing has always just kind of like wowed me, because I don't know. That's the only thing I can think of. That is when I'm like, this is cool. I'm doing this. This is pretty cool because my kids think it's cool. So,
Sabrina, what about you?
I'm gonna let Tamia go first.
Well, all right then.
I always steal her.
Tell her
Not
what
your
Dan
show.
says.
Young lady, it's not your show. You don't get to direct things around here.
Tamia,
I
you're
don't
next.
know who
I
you
say-
think you are.
All right, I'll go. All right, this is a real quick one, but it was one that absolutely, like, I felt like I'm sitting there and we're watching the short treks, and Terry Metalis is on. And we had done a show called Hanging Chads.
Not short treks.
It was after what it was.
It was the
Ready
Ready
Room.
Room.
The Ready Room, whatever it was. So we had done a show called Hanging Chads where we talked about storylines that Star Trek started and like whatever happened to these people. It was just like a hanging chad, and we had to explain what a hanging chad was for those of you who did not remember the election, what a hanging chad was. And I had been in a lot of writing classes, and I'd never heard of that term being used for not completing a storyline. So we figured that was pretty original. And I'm watching this thing, and Terry Metalis says, well, that was a real hanging chad. And I just went, shit. What?
It was like right after we put the show. It was like right around when we had put the show out.
I know. I was like, call. Were you watching this? Did you see this yet?
See, I knew she had Terry's number.
I knew it.
See, I got them all.
No, he was listening.
We know he was.
We know he was.
That freaked me out.
Yeah.
Okay,
Me and my dear, what do you think?
My thing, and I think that this is on everybody else's list too, but they might have just been nice and saved it for me. Was the first time that we got to interview Sonequa. You know, I mean, it was a night. It was that first interview with her. I mean, there's backstory to it, and it made it like even more special when we got to talk to her. And the fact that all 5 of us were sitting in that Zoom, like feeling like we were in the room together, in the same room, and crying. Like our hearts were there in one place. And we're like, you are the reason why we exist, you know? And, you know, the character that you were playing and defending you. And, you know, before the show had even come out, here's Sabrina and Fran in all the groups like, what? You just saying that. And then after the show comes out and they're like, why is Burnham all this? And she's like, do you remember Kirk at all? Like, I'm sorry. At all? Like, do you remember? Because this has been done. This is not new territory here. You know, and you know, that was really one of the very most special moments. We've had a lot. It's really hard to narrow it down.
It really is. It really is.
I mean, and that's a blessing, you know, that's a true blessing. I know nobody asked me, but I'm going to say it. My advice to anybody out there is that if you feel like you are looking for something in your life that is missing, just follow the thing that you are most passionate about, and let that lead you to, like, I didn't know anything about fandom, and I found Trek Geeks and Mission Log, and then I found this whole world of Trek fandom like that I wasn't involved in, and it was just a love of Trek that kept me like the next thing and the next thing, and then I met Sabrina and Fran, and you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, you just never know. Just follow your thing, man.
Well, and we didn't know that, you know, sort of talking about Trek was Dan's and my thing until about 20 years into our friendship.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know, so I mean, it's never too late to start either, which I think is important to say. Although there are days I wish that I would have started with somebody else.
Well,
We feel the same way sometimes.
I know. 10 years of this bullshit. I mean,
Dan was just saying that the other day about him.
it's true. He says worse.
I do.
I hate to interrupt the conversation for a second, but I forgot to put this up during the Fansets spot because I was looking for my copy and I had no idea where it was.
There you go.
Hey,
Doesn't that look amazing?
That's
Beautiful.
awesome.
Yes.
Oh, that's
Purple
really
glitter.
good.
Oh,
Purple-
purple glitter.
Glitter
SyFy
heaven.
Sistas
Ooh,
purple glitter.
That's
There you
SyFy
go.
Sistas glitter right there.
Yeah,
Glitter heaven.
Yes,
I'll
sir.
tell
So-
you what.
Apologies.
No,
That's
no
awesome.
problem.
I gotta get that.
To me, I thought for sure you were going to say something about that first time that you talked with Tawny in Chicago, and that, but nobody knows about that, so that's okay.
Wow.
What a dick.
I will never not tease you about that because
Bada boom
we've
boom.
all done it. We've all done it. Go ahead, tell the story. Tell the
I
story.
don't want to tell the story. Oh my God. Okay.
First of all, Dan, when the hell have you ever recorded anything? That's my first question for you.
Hey, I used to run Discovering Trek.
Yeah, in a Zoom meeting.
I think we did actually tell people about that when we
Oh,
got.
did you?
when-
I think it's
Yeah,
on the. I think it is on the.
it's-
No,
okay,
I
so-
actually
but if
told it all on the interview. And Tawny was like, Yvette. It's just you were one of those kids that squealed on everybody. I was like, yep.
Right. That's exactly what. Yep.
Samia, give us a background on what we're talking
Okay,
about for
in
those who
case
may
you
not
don't
know.
All right, this is a mortifying experience in the SyFy Sistas. So Yvette and I traveled to Mission Chicago, and we're like, woohoo, we're gonna hold it down for the SyFy Sistas because we were the only 2 who could go on that trip that time. And we one of our
Gave
first
her the
big-
recorder.
the peanut gallery. Look, this bitch. She wasn't even there. She gives us some half-baked directions, like,
Oh my
push
God.
this button, make sure you do this, make sure you do that. There's no booklet of instruction booklet or anything. Like, okay,
She got
anyway.
that thing from Radio Shack somewhere.
No shit, you know, it's like
And it
this
worked for me.
jinky ass recorder.
It didn't work
Sucker.
for us.
It's a industry standard.
So we're
Got
so
two
excited.
buttons on it. Two
Tawny
buttons.
Tawny Newsome. It's more than two buttons, goddamn.
We are Gen X. We need directions.
Thank you. I don't need some shit that looks like a big ass
Boomer handled it. Boomer had it.
1968 computer. Like, it's my cell phone.
Continue.
Anyway, we didn't know what we were doing, but so Tawny like invites us to her hotel room to do this interview. We're like, wait, really? Your hotel? She's like, yeah, I'm staying right here. Come here. It's like, we're like, you don't know us though. Okay, here we go. So off Yvette and I go troopsing around to this hotel. She's like, hey, you know, we're in there. It's all love, like from the very first. She's so sweet. She's so cool. We set everything up. We test the shit. We're like, okay, we're in business. We sit down. We do an hour and over an hour with her.
Yeah,
We're
it was a
crying.
great interview.
It was so good. Like,
Yeah,
we're
I'll
like,
bet it was.
she's crying, we're crying. Like, it was so good. It was like
Yeah.
off the cuff. And nope, we go back to check and it didn't record. We found out and we were mortified. And this is the first time we've ever done anything like this. And Yvette and I were dying. Like, I swear to God, I wanted to cry right there. And Tawny was like, don't worry about it. She's like, are you kidding me? She's like, you don't know how many times this has happened to me. She's like, I'm a podcaster. I've done this. Relax. We're just going to redo it.
And she said, and the thing I remember her saying is, this is gonna make us friends from this point on, because only we could tell this story.
Yep.
Because you know, the first thing I said to her when we walked in her room, does your mother know you're doing this?
Inviting these strangers
Right.
to your room.
Every once in a while she'll mention that, goes, my mother knows.
And it
So,
did. Like, yeah. So we tried to hook it up. Yeah. Go ahead.
No, I say we have a question from the audience actually, which
Oh.
I think is a great question. I want to put it up if you don't mind.
Sure.
Okay, do that.
Ross, who's here in North Carolina, not too far from me, says, "Who was your favorite interview that you weren't expecting to become your favorite?"
Mm.
Oh, Ross
there
bringing the
it is.
heat.
There it
There's
is.
so
Ross.
many. We've done so many interviews though.
While you're
Yeah, just
thinking
rub
of
it
that,
in. Whatever.
I'll just
I'm sorry.
you'll love
Like
this
I'm-
because while you're thinking of that, Ross actually won the autobiography of Ben Sisko last week on the show.
Wonderful.
And I know that you
Yay!
think that's
Right.
special because you're very good friends with Derek and he's on your show.
Yes. I'm trying to think.
Oh.
I'll tell you the one that's most.
Oh, I think it's
Okay,
the
good.
same
Go.
one. I think
Go,
it's the same
Sabrina.
one, Sabrina. Go ahead.
You go first then.
No, go, Sabrina. Go.
Tim Russ.
That was the one.
You were not expecting it to be
Wow.
your favorite.
Well,
and it's your favorite.
he's so he's we weren't sure how
Very
he was gonna-
reserved sometimes.
Yes,
you know,
yes,
don't
he's
know.
very-
Just didn't know.
Yes.
Yeah,
you know?
he's kind of like takes his time getting to warm up, and we had met him in Vegas, and he knew the people. He knew the Steam Superheroes people introduced us to him, and so we didn't really, So we were like, okay, and it was, and so we asked him to do the show. He says yes, and we're like, oh, how's this gonna go? If he does not suffer fools. He says something
Right.
stupid, and that man doesn't like
Right.
what's called being asked. This is gonna be a long night. He had us rolling. I mean, he had us rolling.
He just fell right in. And
Nice.
we were just, we had to stop because we were really, the time was ticking. But yeah,
No doubt.
She said that. I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my
that was definitely
God.
one. I wasn't
Yeah,
sure.
that's a
Just
good- that's a
wasn't
good
sure how
one.
that was going to go.
That's a good one.
Yeah, and it
Yeah,
ended up
that's
being,
because that's true.
that was a good show. I had to show it.
So, brother just went off.
Was that the one you were thinking of, Yvette?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I wasn't sure about Tim Russ. I mean, I think we had said we wanted to have him on the show before, and I was like, okay, I'll
Sort of like the old
try.
Trek
But
Geeks thing.
I just didn't know because like Sabrina said, he does not suffer fools, and I wasn't sure if he was, willing to come on our show, and where do I put him? Is he on the podcast or is he on the live show? I just didn't know. And then he fit. It was perfect. The timing was perfect. Everything fell into place, and he was hilarious.
Nice.
Yeah.
I didn't want to go Mr. Vulcan on us.
Yeah, Mr. Vulcan, exactly. Marina wants to know if there's a dream interview you still have out there.
Oh my God, yeah. There's tons of them. Tons of them. Oh my gosh. I know we want to have Neil deGrasse Tyson. We've been phone tagging, email tagging, missing. One day it's gonna happen. We did interview him on the red carpet for the Bill Shatner autobiography, the bio, because he was the moderator for that. So he did come on, that little piece I did, he was on that. But that's one we're trying to get. Jolene, if you're listening.
Yeah. and we hope you are.
We hope you are. I'd love to get Jolene on.
Oh, that would be amazing.
It was just amazing that she showed up to do what she did this past year. I don't want to get spoilers out.
Right.
Most may not know, but just the fact that she was back.
Yep.
Yeah. It was amazing. Yeah.
So
I don't know. There's a lot. Yeah.
So let's talk about how you've grown. Obviously, from
some of us have not.
Dan in particular.
Stop telling my shit. Stop telling all my shit.
But I mean, recently you guys have expanded your YouTube presence, and I think that that's super exciting. You've added some shows, which some folks may not know about. What was the sort of philosophy in programming your YouTube channel? And tell us a little bit about the shows that are there too.
I think, well, I don't know, Yvette, go ahead. I see you there. Well, I was just going to say on like the philosophy and expanding the YouTube channel, like we know we always wanted to grow. We had all these great people that we wanted to bring into the fold some kind of way. Like the idea of SyFy Sistas has always been to create a platform that like puts a spotlight on Black thought and Black creativity, right? Yeah. So, it grew out of that philosophy.
So I have one of the shows. So
yes, you do.
It's a pretty damn good one too.
Oh, before Sabrina goes, because something that just happened, I just want to say the philosophy I always believed was we did this because if we didn't do it, who else was going to do it for us? Right. Like it was just like how the SyFy Sistas started. Well, right. Fuck it, then I'll just do it myself. And that's just what we've been doing. And
open up the door.
Well, no, fuck you.
Get it myself.
Or I don't need you. Let's go over here, get some wood, and just start building it ourselves.
I got the James Brown reference, Sabrina.
I know you did.
Thank you. I was there with you. I was about to be like,
give me nothing. Open up the door.
Of all people, I did not get James Brown reference. Of all people,
musician person. Yeah.
But yeah.
See, Dan, James Brown was a singer.
Oh, wow. I got to do nothing. I know what you do. See? James Brown's a singer. I'm gonna punch you.
Right in the throat with that one. Go ahead, Sabrina. I'm sorry.
No, you were doing good. No, so my show was kind of weird in the way it came over because I had this show before. Well, not this show, but I had this avatar brand, whatever,
and podcast.
Before I did the SyFy Sistas. So I was doing a podcast before, and I had the name of the thing was the Cinnamon Cinephile, and I talk about movies, and it was just about classic Hollywood, and I would do these podcasts where I would talk about 5 different movies with people that were experts in that field. So I let it go pretty much when we started doing SyFy Sistas because it was just a lot to do this, and we were really doing sci-fi and all that. And then I kind of came to Yvette and I said, it's kind of like wanted to bring my idea of the Cinnamon Cinephile. Maybe I bring it over to the network. I mean, that like really like stupid, or would you guys be the two of them like, we were waiting for you to figure this out?
Oh,
okay. Hey.
Awesome. Well,
So, we just called it Cinson instead of Cinnamon Cinephile, and we put the sci-fi on it. And, I wanted to go back and talk about, I love films. That's my jam. Tamia is, the host and the book person. I'm the film person. And I wanted to just really get deep into science fiction films and just talk about, the real nitty gritty about how you make a film, which is one of the reasons why we were talking.
Joel is the best. Hi, Joel.
When we were talking about Section 31, I just have a reverence for filmmakers, and I really respect anyone that can get a film up and on and completed, because I know how hard it is to do, even if it doesn't make it or it's crap or whatever. I said, I just respect that whole creativity and that whole artwork and what people can do. So I wanted to, bring that love, like Tamia is saying, find your passion. Mm-hmm. And that was mine. And I created this name and this podcast. And then that brought me over to the sisters. And here we are with, these things going like this. And it's just been a lot of fun. So loving it.
It's so great to hear stories like that. And it makes me think of what we were talking about before. When you guys started out, you have grown, you have evolved, and you impact other people. Mm-hmm. And I'll use Bill and I as an example of someone that you have impacted. This Thursday Night Geeks would not even exist if not for you. And especially Yvette, we had a conversation with you about it and what you did with what you were doing with your YouTube channel. And here we are. So
what did I say when you told me?
I don't know. I wasn't really listening.
It's about fucking time.
She did. I can testify to that.
You did the same response, huh?
Yeah.
That I got.
Like, oh, finally.
It's amazing because Dan, when Dan was going to use us as an example, usually people use us as a cautionary tale. And I started to sweat it out a little bit.
You did. You were like,
I'm like, where's he going with this?
Where are you going with that, buddy?
So, before we wrap up, tell us a little bit about the other two shows too, because I think that definitely we should make people aware of them, and they should definitely be watching them.
Yeah. So we have an ElfQuest show.
I love that one.
Called Two Moons and a Microphone. It's hosted by our good friend Tanya Scott Thomas. I always say more because I know somebody like that. But Tanya Scott Thomas, who is wonderful. She's a big ElfQuest fan. And we are bringing ElfQuest to Trekkies and whoever wants to see it. She premiered her second season yesterday, and we actually had the creators of ElfQuest in the chat.
Wow.
Richard and Wendy Peeney actually came and showed up. Her guest for her first show was Brandon McKinney, who is illustrator for Lower Decks and ElfQuest. He started with ElfQuest and just did the last few seasons of Lower Decks.
And a whole lot of other stuff.
And a whole lot of other stuff.
He was just naming shows.
Like Harley Quinn and
Static.
My goodness.
Static Shock.
Static
Oh
Shock.
my
Oh my God, I love that show.
Yeah.
So we're moving on with that. And then everything's on Wednesday nights. And then next Wednesday coming up, we will have Derek Tyler Attico, who is the author of the autobiography of not Malcolm X, Benjamin Sisko. Woo! Bill, it's
so close.
Bedtime.
So close. Yeah, I know. Wheel of Fortune was on hours ago.
So Derek has a show called Soul of the Story. And his second season opens up next Tuesday on the 12th. And his first Wednesday on the 12th, sorry. And his first guest is going to be Celia Rose Gooding.
Oh,
wow.
Yeah. She we actually already because she's busy, so we actually got her we recorded her show already, and it's different. You're going to learn a lot more about this young lady who we affectionately call Nisi because she calls us aunties. So it's so funny. I've known her since she was, I'm gonna say 4.
Really?
Did not know. We all just found this out. You know how you just do things, and your parents and our kids knew each other. We went to school together. Did not realize it until I'm thinking, I'm listening to stuff, and then her and my daughter meet. And they're like, "You live where? You live where? You went where?" And finding out that, yeah, we've known her since she was 4.
Wow.
Not realizing that, hey,
That's who she
her?
was.
Yeah, she grew up, they all grew up together, and yeah, it's just, the world, everything's so small, you just never know. So yeah, it's a great interview. And I always say thank you to her because she took a chance. She's not a small star.
No.
She's on a major TV show, and Derek has a brand new show, and she said yes. So I definitely appreciate her for that. Yeah.
Great.
So
we're also, one more thing. We're also we just announced that we brought on Matthew Jennings to the SyFy Sister Inc. family. We'll be presenting him at cons.
Nice.
And some other things that we might.
If you're not familiar with him, he's the creator of 1701: A Blurred Story.
Yeah.
And if you are a For All Mankind fan, and you saw the last season of For All Mankind, he was the first person you saw
in the first
that
episode.
Season, in the
very
first episode.
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll be bringing him on. So yeah, there's a lot more coming up. So stay tuned. Subscribe, please.
Yeah, I was gonna say, where can we find it all? That's really the key.
SyFy Sistas Inc. on YouTube. Please help us. We are trying to get to 1,000. I think we need 100 more subscribers. Yeah. So we're everywhere. We're on all platforms except for Twitter. We're even on TikTok for some reason, but we're there.
I don't know if we do anything on there, but we're there.
Every now and then I
remember.
look in there.
Dan has a TikTok, and all he does is twerk on it. It's really
I don't even know. I don't even know the first thing about TikTok.
That's hot, man. That's hot.
Yeah,
I think I need to watch that. Yeah.
he drops it like it's lukewarm.
No, you don't.
He drops it like it's lukewarm.
Yeah.
That's funny, bro.
Lukewarm.
Thank you. I'll be throwing. Well, Dan and I love you all, individually and collectively. One of the best things we ever did as Trek Geeks was to bring you in as part of the family, and one of the best things we ever did as people is to have you as friends. Yeah. We adore you. We love every one of your successes, and we can't wait for what comes next because you all deserve it. You're amazing.
Yes.
Can I just say something really quickly before we
go?
I know you're
absolutely.
Right. I just wanted to say that, for anybody out there, if you're listening and you don't know these guys, if you don't know Trek Geeks guys personally, they are phenomenal, wonderful human beings. There's no way in hell that the SyFy Sistas, that any of us would be messing around with these dudes if we wouldn't put, because we could get our black card taken if we fuck around with the wrong white people.
Got that
right. We're not trying to do that. No, we love you guys so much, and you're real honest and warm and truly loving human beings. And thank you guys for letting us be part of your family.
Yeah,
definitely good humans. This is not fake. This is who they are. And it took me a while, but I love them. They're good guys.
You know what, girl? When we turn that charm on, you just can't say no.
Say no.
Don't
Lukewarm.
get ahead of yourself.
Remember that.
Get ahead of yourself.
I had to unzip the hoodie a little. It's getting hot in here.
Once you go white, you're never going to be all right.
That's true.
I don't know.
Oh my
that's
gosh.
what I'm getting over here.
Right.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, that's. I mean, we won't go into that.
Sign us off now.
Guys.
That's a new show.
Is that a new show?
Thank you again so much. Of course, Dan, you and I will be back next week with the one and only Nana Visitor.
We'll be in the chat.
We'll be in the chat.
We can't wait. We're looking forward to that conversation. I love doing live stuff, and I can only imagine that Nana is going to make us look amazing. So,
yes.
Until next week, thank you so much for being a part of Thursday Night Geeks. You can find us all over the place at trekgeeks.com. And if you really want to follow Dan, because he's the only one anyone cares about anyway, he's the big star. You can find him at Trek Geek Dan almost everywhere. So Did I cover that right, Dan? Is that correct?
You did. You finally, it took you long enough to finally say it. It's been in your heart for a long time, so I appreciate it.
It really has. But until next week, thank you so much, everybody. Have a great night. Live long and prosper.
Take care, everybody.
See you next week.